Well, unless I miss my guess, the ceasefire in the Middle East is over. The United States has launched a series of airstrikes inside Iran. We're talking big, beautiful bombs. Radar sites drone facilities. They're hitting air defenses, port cities, even targets very, very close to Tehran. This is not speculation. This is happening right now. We're going to watch podcasts together. Fella named Tony Kennett. Seems like a nice enough fella. We're going to pause at each key moment and break down exactly what's being said and what it means. The Joe Rossano Show. Hi, I am Joe Rossano. Folks, I can tell you right now, this is not about hype. It's about understanding the timeline, the pressure points, the psychology behind all of this. Who's lying? Who's not? Who's taking the blame? Who isn't? What got lodged where? And this, folks, is absolutely and positively one of the most dangerous confrontations in the history of the planet Earth. You heard that right here. So let's start. Let's take a look. Before we do, please click that subscribe button. Please like, share, comment. Click the notification bell for all latest episodes of the Joe Rossano Show. So let's begin here.
United States is engaged in a series of strikes against different targets in southern Iran, including air defense assets, radar sites, drone command and control of facilities. That is according to a senior U.S. official to Axios. Additionally, and really what should be said in kind of an addendum, there also may be a series of infrastructure targets, including petrochemical facilities, perhaps some electricity and water infrastructure. We don't know for sure yet.
Well, I know for sure. There's big, beautiful bombs everywhere. This is the opening shot. This is the United States. I can tell you right now, President Trump, he's not posturing. These are real airstrikes on real targets. We're talking radar, air defenses, drone hubs, the whole 9 yards. These are systems Iran uses to track and threaten the American forces in the Strait of Hormuz. When these go down, it means the United States is preparing for basically freedom of movement all over that region. So let's continue on here.
To the United States made a series of statements when getting ready to sign a reconciliation package into law, saying that Iran had essentially gone back and forth and led the United States on kind of a rabbit trail for far too long, and that now they were going to have to pay the price. Here's the president of the United States today.
You posted this morning about Iran. You said that they've taken too long to get to a deal. I want to make sure I quote you correctly. You said that now they will have to pay the price. Yeah. What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, we're going to be attacking them very hard.
Resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, we are. Based on a helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that. You know, they shot down a very incredible, actually an incredible machine. And at first they said they didn't do it. Then they admitted they did. It was sort of easy because we have the bomb. We actually have the bomb. Got very lucky that bomb didn't explode. That bomb was lodged in the helicopter. It didn't explode. It was on fire, but it didn't explode. It's just...
So the president of the United States is making it clear that since the Apache helicopter was struck originally, and I think we actually have some of the initial statements from different Iranian media sources where, before we get to CENTCOM here, yesterday, the Iranian media sources had tried to claim simultaneously, hey, we didn't shoot down the Apache helicopter near the Strait of Hormuz. And the president of the United States later would call the downing of the U.S. Apache helicopter a miracle. No, not a miracle that the helicopter was downed, but that the Apache helicopter, which doesn't have ejector seats because, you know, big, huge spinning prop right above the canopy for the pilots, essentially the missile lodged between the control systems, between the pilots, and then they were able to take the Apache down. Again, still crashed, but...
Well, they were able to take the Apache down, still crashed. This is the trigger. Iran hit a United States Apache helicopter. The missile didn't explode, as everyone said, thank God. If it had, we would be talking about dead American service members right now. This is the moment everything changed, okay? Iran denied it, then admitted it, then claimed it was an accident. This is not how this works. Okay. Iranian state TV immediately came out and tried claiming we didn't do it. We didn't do it. This is classic Iranian propaganda, folks. Deny, admit, threaten, repeat. They want to protect strength. They want to project strength while avoiding responsibility. But the United States had the evidence. The president made it clear that he was done waiting. So let's continue on.
But everyone inside survived and was doing well. Now, the Iranian state media immediately came out and tried claiming, well, we didn't shoot down the helicopter. Okay, well, actually, we did, and it was unintentional. We were just, firing random rockets, as you do. And then you had the foreign minister, Araji, or one of their foreign ministers, come out and announce this is forever our Persian Gulf, with a weird Facebook graphic. Live, laugh, love, jihad. Forever 21. Forever the Persian Gulf. And then said, leave our region if you want to be safe. And so it appears that the president of the United States is, in fact, rather tired of it. Yesterday evening, we reported while we were on the air, there were 4 sites that were struck by the United States. So Sirik, which is one of the locations suspected of being kind of a small warehouse for several of the Shahed suicide drones, as well as a couple of radar sites and general monitoring equipment to keep an eye on international shipping, craft that would have a transponder on. So various assessing, monitoring pieces of equipment were suspected to be in Sirik. Those were hit yesterday. Manab also yesterday. Keshem Island, which is, if you could just picture the really big cities in the United States that put out a big concrete platform for all of their 4th of July fireworks. Essentially, it's just a big concrete pad with a bunch of tubes on it. That's kind of what Keshem Island is. It's basically the shooting range, the island, and then Bandar Abbas, which is a major naval port in Iran. So that.
Does this sound like these are random targets to you folks? These are drone warehouses. They're radar sites and monitoring stations. That's exactly what they are. The United States was clearing the board, removing Iran's eyes and ears. This is how you prepare for escalation without committing to a full war. It's just exactly what they do and exactly what's going on. The United States is basically bombing everything it sees so that Iran can't see anymore. But the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. So let's continue on.
That was what was set forward yesterday evening. And then the president of the United States, people suggested that maybe the president was going to move forward back into this eternal negotiation territory, which is one of the things that he's done. He's kind of moved in and out of suggesting, well, it's time to negotiate and we're going to see if we can cut a deal. And then he would back out and say, well, maybe we're going to do something. The president said today a little bit more on the general timeline and why, and then broke some pretty incredible news during this, again, signing of this reconciliation package that's directly related to, obviously, the events currently underway in the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz.
I've been working with Iran for a number of months, and they should sign their deal. It's a good deal. It doesn't give them the right to have a nuclear weapon. In fact, it totally prohibits them from ever having a nuclear weapon. And it was just tap, tap, tap. I don't know what they're doing. So they then shot at our helicopter, very expensive helicopter, by the way, but much more importantly, the 2 men, fortunately, they're okay. But an amazing rescue. If you ever get a clip, you won't believe the rescue, how cool it was. The equipment we have. Look, we have the strongest military in the world. And I gave them a break at the request of Pakistan, the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Did you catch this? Did you catch it? This is the president. And by the way, the way you can tell that the president is being very frank, clear, and upfront, he's going off the cuff, and he is simply reiterating from memory what the timeline of events are. So you've been hearing a lot of the speculation station of.
Let me stop you right there, Tony. So the president is always off the cuff, sir. He's always off the cuff. This does not mean what you say it means. He's always off the cuff. I mean, how often does he read a teleprompter? And when he does, he still spouts whatever he thinks he wants to say at that particular moment in time. And it generally lets people know what their IQ is. So I really had to point that out, Tony. The president is serious when he goes off script. He always goes off script, sir. You know better than that. Come on. Shouldn't have had to tell you that, Tony.
What was Donald Trump actually trying to accomplish? And not just from those over on the left, but there were even some members over on the right, including some who I normally get along with, both, for example, present colleagues and then former colleagues who left the kind of space to work in, oh, we really don't like things that Trump is doing now kind of space, saying, well, actually, Donald Trump is just giving Iran absolutely everything, and this is just JCPOA 2.0. And some individuals pointed out, if Donald Trump, who has literally never changed his mind once, the man has had the exact same thoughts on his mind, even if they're not too particularly great, like some of the trusting, Peter Navarro with the tariff policy. Donald Trump doesn't change his mind. He hated the JCPOA deal. He has hated the Iranian regime since it took over. How do we know? They pointed.
I got news for you, Tony. He hated the Iranian regime since the 80s, sir. And change his mind. I mean, well, I think that sometimes, and here's where the president has a problem explaining things. Okay, now the president, as you saw on his interview, would meet the press that he abruptly ended in the middle of a storm. That, well, you promised no new wars, Mr. President. You promised. Right then and there, you know what the president should have said? He doesn't say things like this, but what he should have said was, you know something? Situation changed. Okay, there's new intelligence here, so we had to take military action, a military operation is what he calls it, to stop the imminent threat of Iran having a nuclear weapon. But, instead he says, well, I didn't say no new wars. Oh, yeah, you did. You did say that. But what you should have said, and it happens, Mr. President, is that situation changed, sir. And that happens. So let's continue on. I mean, again, nobody would blame the president for something like that. At least I certainly wouldn't.
Cameras at his face in the 80s and said, hey, Trump, what do you think about that? And he's like, I think we should go in there and kick some ass. I mean, that's what he made a very clear point of. Trump's not about to turn around. So what you see right here when he's explaining why the decisions have been made, he's very clear with you. He said Pakistan, which means China, asked the United States to hold off to see if a deal could be brokered. And so he's saying here, so we did. We waited for just a couple of minutes.
Right. We stopped them from going to war with India. You would have had a nuclear war if it wasn't for me. But they became friendly to me, very friendly, and they're close to Iran, and they worked, and they still are working on trying them to do what's right. But we want a deal that's meaningful. We want a deal that works. We don't want to just have a Barack Hussein Obama deal, JCPOA, the worst deal. That was a path to a nuclear. It's the exact opposite. I like on television, they say, oh, they should have kept that deal. First of all, it was over. It was a short-term deal. But that deal was a path to a nuclear weapon.
So he finishes here. I'm going to move on a little bit quickly here, just because the president goes on kind of, again, when he is being upfront and clear, he meanders through his reaction to the events that occurred. Why am I saying this? Trump has not changed. That is exactly how he communicates, the way he makes promises, the way that he makes statements, the way that he tells a story. Ain't nothing changed. So in regard to the president here, he finishes off by saying, the Iranians dragged us along and along like they were playing us and taking us for a ride. I didn't like that. So after they struck the helicopter, the United States then has the ability and the authority for the president to respond. This is true, by the way. That you could say, well, there's a 60-day limit and things. The United States Navy, at the request of the president of the United States, has the constitutional authority to blockade any country on earth. And by the way, is a national emergency, whenever. But you do have an economic ability to affect trade. According to the Constitution, you want to go park the Fifth Fleet right outside of some country and go.
He's absolutely right. President does have that authority. He could blockade anything he wants anywhere in the world. He doesn't need congressional approval. Again, says the Supreme Court. But I'm not sure that the president going off script means he's more serious than he is in any other time. And again, yeah, as Mr. Kennett, I think it's Kennett, indicated that the president, Donald Trump, the business person in the 80s, he never liked Iran. So let's continue on here.
Oh, I don't think so. You have the ability to do that. And that's according to Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Radio crew, we're going to send you to the commercial, continuing on the live stream without that interrupting break. It's the Tony Kennett cast here on the Daily Signal. So the president of the United States has made it clear that it is because of the Apache helicopter, because Iran wouldn't leave well enough alone. Again, saying, no, we need Israel. We don't need Israel. We need you to do this. Give us the money. All this nonsense. That finally, the president of the United States directed Central Command to, how did the president put it today? Do a good bit of bombing. And then this was Pete Hegseth on what was going to happen this evening. Here's the Secretary of War.
But of course, he is busy because CENTCOM, Central Command, will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be. Because Iran has a chance to make a good deal, a great deal, to codify what they said they've been willing to do, and they haven't been willing to do it. So as President Trump said, they've been tapping. You can see when someone's trying to tap on a deal. Instead, they're going to have tap bombs dropping on key facilities in Iran from the United States of America.
Now, we said this yesterday, that there is no situation here in which the Iranian, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is actually going to cut a deal with the United States. We talked about some of that stuff yesterday, but given this information, before we get to the inflation comments and the president's announcement that we have effectively been smuggling oil out of the Strait of Hormuz, again, as we have reported here on the show before, there appears
smuggling oil out of the Strait of Hormuz. President revealed something no one knew. Okay. We have been taking millions and millions of barrels of oil. Nobody knows it. Iran didn't know it until right now, he claims. That is so funny. This is a bombshell. The United States secretly removed millions of barrels of Iranian oil using ships with their lights and transponders off. And the Navy destroyed Iranian radar so those ships could escape. This is why oil prices dropped. This is why Iran is furious. And this is why the situation exploded. Okay. Iran claims retaliation. Okay. Iran announced a full and complete closure of the Strait of Hormuz and claims to have attacked 2 ships. Okay. Iran claims everything. They claim that they hit the ships. They claim they intercepted a cruise missile. They claim they struck down a United States vessel. None of this is confirmed. This is Iran trying to save face while absorbing real damage here. Okay. The United States CENTCOM forces began launching additional attacks, self-defense strikes, so they claim. And there's multiple targets in Iran. Okay. This is the second wave. Nuclear related sites, those port cities, radar installations, and they are trying to hit those drone facilities because they're a pain in the ass. All right. This is not symbolic. This is strategic. The United States is disregarding Iran's ability to fight, disregarding and degrading. All right. President's warning. President told Fox News he will bomb Iran again tomorrow night. I thought he didn't tell you when he's going to bomb someone, but I guess in this case, they really can't do anything about it if they don't sign that deal. Okay. This is the clearest message of the entire situation. The president is giving Iran another chance, and I repeat, another chance to sign this deal or face another night of airstrikes. This is pressure, this is leverage, and this is how the United States forces move so far as negotiations are concerned. So what do we take from all of this? The strikes, the helicopter incident, the secret oil operation, the Iranian denials, the United States response, the president's warning. It's not a small story. Really isn't. It's not a headline that you scroll past, that's for sure. This is a major shift in the balance of power in the Persian Gulf. Iran pushed, the United States responded, and now both sides are staring at each other across the most important waterway on the planet Earth, the Strait of Hormuz. This is a pressure point for global energy. We all know that. And when it becomes unstable, the entire world feels it. So we walked through the timeline. We paused at key moments. We broke down the messaging, the strategy, the psychology. That's very important, and the stakes. This is how you understand a crisis, not by reacting to headlines, but following the sequence of motives behind each move. Every big, beautiful bomb. This situation is still unfolding. More information will come out. More claims will be made. More decisions will be announced, and we'll continue to break it down. Thanks for chilling out with your pal Joe Rossano. Again, please like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. As always, my dearest friends and fellow Americans, don't forget to adopt yourself a pet. I say God bless you. We'll see you next time.